Q1057 and 1035, the Capital Region's classic rock station. I'm Caroli, very excited about a couple of shows coming to the Broadview stage at Saratoga Performing Arts Center. We have the band Goose. They're going to be there on Friday, September 6th and Saturday, September 7th. And on the phone with me right now, we have Rick and Peter from Goose. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing very well. We're very excited to have you guys back at SPAC. And I know just before that starts, you're going to be kicking off your tour in New Jersey and then heading to Boston for 3 nights. And then you got the 2 shows at Saratoga Performing Arts Center. But what is tour prep like for a band like Goose?
Right now, we're all like hanging out together, doing some rehearsals and such at our like rehearsal space in Connecticut. So just working on music.
From what I've seen with a Goose show, you guys take fans on a journey through a variety of musical twists and turns with each and every song. But would you describe to a non-musician like myself what that ride is like for the band?
I mean, it's kind of different every time, and it depends on the night, how on we're feeling, and so it's kind of like an adventure. You don't really know what's going to happen when it's at its best, and it's just kind of flowing, and you're listening to everybody and just reacting. So it's super fun.
Is the chemistry of playing together a matter of time, or is any of it instantaneous?
Both, definitely both. Chemistry. There's like inherent chemistry at play all the time. That's always been immediate. When you find someone that you connect with, just like any kind of relationship in life, when you have that connection, it's always there. But then there's lots of language that grows the more time you spend together, playing together, communicating together. Things evolve quite a bit, and that's definitely been the case in this band and in our situation. And I look forward to how things will continue to evolve, especially now. It feels like we're in a pretty prime spot for things to be evolving in interesting ways. So good stuff.
Tell me about that first decade of the band. Has it gone by quickly for you, or has it gone by slowly?
It's an interesting question. We talk about it a lot, actually. Sometimes we'll think about something and it'll be a long time ago, and it will not feel like a long time ago, and then vice versa. So it really depends on the experience, and the perception of time passing is so fluid. It's such a strange, mysterious thing to me. But at the end of the day, it was definitely a long 10 years. There was a lot of different phases and a lot of different things that happened. It was not a straight line by any stretch. 10 years ago, we started playing bars in Connecticut, and it was really a slow roll. There were lots of lineup changes that happened in the early years, and I was going to school, and we didn't really start getting more aggressive with it until 2017. And then 2018 is when Peter joined the band, and that's when we kind of started finding the right formulas for things and started honing in on the type of band we really wanted to be and executing that vision, I guess you could say.
Well, Rick, tell me this. When Goose first formed, was the intent to make this a career, or was it, let's just have some fun, see what happens?
I think the former. It was always what I wanted to do. I didn't really have a plan B intentionally. And I was fortunate. Like my mom was down for that. She didn't push me to have a plan B, so that was really helpful. I was pretty set on going for it, at least.
For the band Goose, I'm curious what you would say is your defining moment to date.
I don't know. There's been a few significant moments. There's a festival set in 2019 that had a big impact. We put out the video, and it was kind of this confluence of a lot of the hype and buzz that had been building, and then the way that progressed over the following months really started a fire. For us, each festival set in 2019, that was a big moment for us. It was kind of a big turning point in a lot of ways. Things were kind of just moving after that.
I would say also like just the release of the first record.
Oh, sure.
Because it just kind of like defined the sound. I think that's like such a big thing that you need to do with the band. As somebody, I wasn't even in the band at that time, but like as somebody who was a fan of the band and like listened to the record, I was like, this is Goose, and like I can hear this is Goose. It was defined sound and like writing style and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty pinnacle for like the development of any band.
The interesting thing was we really weren't even a band at that point. It was, we were playing bars and stuff, but that record started when it was just an idea for a project, and we weren't touring or anything like that. The band was in its infancy at best at that point.
You're listening to Q1057 and 1035, the Capital Region's classic rock station. I'm Caroli. Special guest today, we have the guys from Goose talking about all things Goose, including the 2 shows coming to Saratoga Performing Arts Center, September 6th and September 7th. We mentioned at the beginning, and you've referenced Connecticut a few times. I think if you pick somebody from the West Coast or the Midwest or something, you said, what do you know about Connecticut's musical history? It's a varied group of musicians, everything from the Carpenters to John Mayer, Hatebreed, Michael Bolton. Very eclectic musical history. What role, if any, does Connecticut play, not only in the formation of the band, but the success of Goose so far?
There's a few different things you could say about that. I'd say the proximity, where we grew up, being, how close we were to New York City is a huge factor in terms of culture and exposure to different types of things. That's probably the most significant thing as opposed to just Connecticut in and of itself. But when we were in high school and stuff, the whole Northeast jam band thing was big. That was kind of the thing that was happening in high school. Like all the kids would go to jam band shows, which I've since realized is not normal. I thought that was kind of way more of a normal thing throughout the country or whatever, but I've since realized that that's really not the case, and especially not now. EDM, rap, and other things are much more popular amongst kids. But I have come to find that to be a really interesting thing. That's what all the cool kids did, was go to Humphreys McGee, and the bulk of my high school time, Fish wasn't playing, but they came back, towards the end. But just those types of shows were the thing that everyone did, and kind of the world that we grew up in. So it's baked into our DNA in that way, you could say.
So your second album, back in 2021, Shenanigans Nightclub, is that a nod to the club that used to be in Norwalk?
It is, yeah.
So how much time did you spend at Shenanigans?
Well, it closed in the early 90s, and I was a child.
So you didn't spend any time there.
There were a couple times I went there when I was like, on my mom's hip kind of thing.
Yeah.
My uncle worked there for many years. He started as a bouncer and ended up being a talent buyer, booking the bands and stuff. I grew up with a lot of stories from those years, kind of the heyday of that place. And when you kind of grow up with those stories, it becomes this romantic thing in your mind, this big group of people, and just it kind of being in, the summer nights in South Norwalk in the 80s, and how wild it would be, and all the wild things that happened. And that uncle lived with my family a little bit when I was in high school, so I became really close with him and got immersed in some of those stories, and it affected me in certain ways, you could say.
And we made a movie about it too. In 2020, when everything was shut down, we got all our friends together later in the year, made a movie, pretty scrappy, but it's out there.
Scrappy? That's a good word. Now, listen, there's no wrong answer to this next question about the best pizza in Connecticut. Sally's, Modern, Pepe's, maybe Colony Grill. Which one do you choose?
My favorite pizza place in New Haven is it used to be called the Legmas, but now I think it's called Nola. It's awesome. Love that place. I remember it's like right off the highway.
This might come off as blasphemous, but I actually haven't done due diligence with trying all the pizza spots in New Haven.
Really? You guys are from Wilton. You can't be. I mean, it's right down the road.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wilton had 5 pizza places.
Fair enough. Shout out to Wilton Pizza. That's good. All right.
We could debate all day long on those, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, sure.
All right. We're talking with Rick and Peter from the band Goose, getting ready for 2 shows at Saratoga Performing Arts Center, September 6th and September 7th. And I know that AAA Radio has been a source of support for artists like Tedeschi Trucks Band and the Marcus King Band, the Avett Brothers. Outside of you guys in the band Goose, where would you say your strongest support has come from?
Good question. I mean, we've got all of our music on Nugs, which is like a live music platform for we put all our shows up there. Nugs and Bandcamp. That's been pretty strong, and YouTube has been strong for us. We put a lot of shows up on there, like full shows and stuff like that. The radio thing kind of came in last year. We didn't really have any radio play until Hunger Site started doing some AAA stuff. last year, which was great.
You referenced the pandemic a couple of minutes ago. I'm curious what effect the pandemic had on Goose in terms of momentum for the band.
Had a pretty big effect on us, actually, and it was really interesting how it all unfolded. But like what I was referencing before with that kind of spark that occurred in 2019, it came right at the heels, or right before the pandemic. So going into the pandemic, there was all this buzz and all this energy. That year was shaping up to be kind of insane for us. The summer tour that we had booked that summer, it was daunting. We were flying across to all these festivals, every weekend, multiple festivals around the country. It was going to be a lot. So I actually think that having the opportunity to breathe and spend more time together working on things as a band at that time when all of that energy was happening was really beneficial and honestly critical for us. We didn't stop working. Kept working on the record and did a lot of live streams and, did the bingo tour thing, which was a ton of fun. And the nature of the way we were able to work during that time, I think, made all of the difference for us kind of taking the next step in a healthy way and in a way that we were able to keep growing.
July of 2023, you guys play Saratoga Performing Arts Center. September 2024, 2 nights at Saratoga Performing Arts Center. Are you guys able to enjoy the success?
I mean, yeah, I think when you're up on stage at SPAC, it's pretty awesome. I've seen so many shows there, and it's such a legendary spot. When you get to play it, it's really it's something special.
This last tour we played in June was, personally, my favorite tour we've ever done. We're having a lot of fun. Things are feeling really good. And that's enjoying the success for me is when the music feels really good and we're all connected and everyone's communicating well. And the thing is, that's fun.
And that's what you got in it for, right? So it's paying off. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see you guys back-to-back nights, Saratoga Performing Arts Center, September 6th, September 7th. Rick and Peter from Goose, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Much continued success to you guys, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.